Check out favorites.com and go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Luke Johnson, co-host of the SuperTalk Eagle Hour and friend here on Sports Talk Mississippi. Congratulations, man. Golden Eagles are going bowling.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. First time since 2019. And, when I played and the guys before me, it was a regular occasion. So, it's kind of a challenge for Will Hall and his staff. He's talking about today. They got to recruit and prep for bowl at the same time, but it's a good problem to have.
Sometimes you answer questions you already know the answer to, but that's all right. I'm going to do it. What's your favorite bowl memory? Oh, did we lose Will?
Did Richard ask it again? Yeah.
I said sometimes I ask questions that I already know the answer to. It's probably not a great interviewing skill, but would you tell us about your favorite bowl memory?
It was actually in a loss. I was the 2003 offensive MVP in the Liberty Bowl. And,
as a punter.
As the punter. I think Rick Cleveland called that a sarcastic vote from the media. That was when Urban Meyer was head coach. Alex Smith was the quarterback at Utah. Kyle Whittingham was the DC. I punted 9 times that game. And I got a trophy it's probably bigger than what they handed out in the Rock last week. Golden football up top. And that whole week, though, I mean, we stayed at the Peabody after winning a conference championship. It wasn't just, some individual award, but that was a real awesome year. We were 3-3 along the way and won 6 in a row on the way to a conference championship. So just being in Memphis, because that's what you wanted to do as a Southern Miss football player then, was to win the conference and play in the Liberty Bowl.
Let's talk about where Southern Miss was and where they are. Now, being 6-6 that's not the destination, right? That's the next stop on the journey. Last year was so difficult, and there were the 2 wins, and we talked about a little bit of momentum going into the offseason. Southern Miss was active in the transfer portal, kind of rebuilt the roster. Still unsettled at quarterback throughout the course of this season, and yet managed to get to bowl eligibility, headed to Mobile, and playing in the Lending Tree Bowl against a 5-7 Rice team. Great opportunity to get that 7th win and kind of have this be the next check mark, right, in terms of moving forward and growing the program?
Yeah, we talked to Will Hall yesterday, and that's kind of how he put it. You got the opportunity to have a winning season in year 2, which doesn't happen a lot. And you look at what they were able to accomplish and without steady quarterback play or regular quarterback play. And, I mean, this is a team, again, 5 points from being 8-4. And if you're 7-5 or 8-4 in year 2 without a consistent starting quarterback, I think you're thrilled. You look at, who this team beat. They beat the team that's going to play in the Cotton Bowl. They played 2 11-win teams. They lost to a 10-win team. Late in South Alabama. They had Coastal on the ropes for a lot of the game. And so I think, again, Southern Miss fans were kind of negative towards it because they felt like they should have won more than 6. But when you zoom out and you kind of look at it, you say, man, coming in December of 2020 when Will Hall was introduced in Reed Green Coliseum, you win 3 the first year, and then you double it, you would take it. And he keeps referring to it, but I think people need to understand it. Jeremy McClain was on the Eagle Hour today and really said the same thing. I think a lot of people realize scholarship and talent-wise where this roster was at the end of the 2020 season.
So what about quarterback going forward? Right? There's some decisions that have got to be made. There's been some unfortunate bad luck in terms of health at that position. Especially with Ty Keys thinking he was going to be the guy. It was, 3 or 4 different starters this year? 3?
Yeah, Lang played some in some of those middle games. I don't think he started, but, yeah, you got 3. And so I think you missed this last week because I was talking to Borky and Haydad. Trey Lowe actually went through senior day. He technically has 1 year left. Dude's working on his doctorate. And so it's kind of yet to be unseen whether he will come back or not. They did get a commitment to transfer from Holman Edwards, who was the backup at Houston. He's a Mississippi guy, played at French Camp Academy, and then 2 years at East Central. I don't know necessarily if he would challenge for a starting job immediately, but, they had great things to say for him out at Houston. I know they're going to be more active in the portal than just that. So you just got to wonder how that affects Ty Keys and Zach Wilkie. You would think as of right now, I mean, both those guys are on the roster, and Ty Keys actually, put out a tweet a couple of days ago, just kind of saying that, he's going to rebound from this injury and come back harder next year. So you like that, and I think it's a wide open competition. You got to bring in, a couple more guys or maybe one more guy if Lowe's not going to return.
So what about this matchup with Rice? I mentioned this thing, 5-7, they get in because of APR. They have the highest ranked APR, and there was one slot available. Lost their last 3 games. One of those, there was kind of like a flu. That may have been Charlotte, where they had a bunch of guys that had the flu. Look, I mean, there's some decent wins, right? I mean, they beat Louisiana in week 3. They beat UAB. That's a bowl team. They beat Louisiana Tech. They beat UTEP. But there's some bad losses, and especially down the stretch. I mean, they get beat 45-10 by Western Kentucky, 41-7 by UTSA. It's 2 good teams, and then a close loss to North Texas to close it out. What do you make of Rice?
It's a tale of 2 seasons. They went 4-2 through the first 6, 2-4 in the last, and I really thought that Bloomgren would have turned it by now. He hasn't had a winning season since he's been at Rice in year 5, and people aren't familiar with that name. He was David Shaw's OC at Stanford when Andrew Luck and some of their better years. And so I thought he would turn it over by now. But last couple times Southern Miss has played Rice blew Southern Miss out in the Rock 2 years ago, and then nipped them last year 24-19, and that was actually the game that Ty Keys went out for the year in. So you feel like this is a Rice team that, although they played tight, North Texas, who had a winning season this year, I mean, they kind of ended the season on a downswing. Something that Will Hall told us yesterday was he felt like in the Monroe game was the first time that he had really been able not to open up the playbook, but in some ways to expand the playbook. And I did ask him that. I said, Coach, did you feel like you were almost hamstrung, with play calling ability because of lack of personnel throughout the year? And he didn't answer it explicitly, yes, but he did say that he felt like at the end of the year, that was the first game all year that they had really begun to do some of the offensive things outside of the Superback, that they had tried to do. So you feel good about that going into a game against the team that's given up some points.
Who's going to play quarterback for Southern Miss in the bowl game?
I would assume, Trey Lowe. That's who I would assume to play.
I mean, I assume that's the answer, but I just know with multiple guys that have played, I wasn't entirely sure that's how it was going to be. Excitement among Southern Miss fans? I mean, I know you said a second ago some ups and downs and maybe some disappointment because of feeling like this team should be a little bit better, but you get to the end of the year and there is a bowl game, and it is a very doable trip. It's an easy trip to Mobile if you want to see your team play in the postseason. What's people's level of excitement?
Yeah, I mean, the disappointment, I think, was probably towards the end of the season and not necessarily after the Monroe win. So, yeah, I called the ticket office yesterday, and they've been getting, just blown up left and right. Jeremy McLean with us today feels really excited about it. And it's a good slot, too. It's 4:45 in the afternoon, so you don't have to get back after midnight. You're able to get back fairly decent. You can go down and enjoy what Mobile has to offer during the day. So, there's a lot of excitement with this. The team's going to go down, I think it's next Tuesday is when they get there. So they'll have basically a full week of bowl events leading up. And Will Hall also excited about, the 71 freshmen and sophomore on this roster. They get to work with them more. So he was excited about that, too, with the bowl opportunity.
December 17th, that is a Saturday, 4:45 kickoff, Rice and Southern Miss in the Lending Tree Bowl in Mobile. And it's not at the old Lad Peebles Stadium. It's at Hancock Whitney Stadium, which is a really nice setup. Be a great opportunity to see Southern Miss football one more time this year. Thanks, Luke.
All right, Richard. You guys have a great day. See you.